My name is Sam Winder, and I'm an artist. And I do it all, man. You know, I paint, draw. I like to design things, do things on the computer. I also play guitar. I do a little bit of photography, some filming, creative writing. Like I said, I do it all. I'm Sam the Man Winder. What gives me inspiration? Well, usually it's just I have to wake up every morning and do something with my life. And I decided a long time ago I wanted to paint and draw or be creative, be a creative person, because that's just who I am. It's like, a fish needs water, just as I need air to breathe. I also need to draw and paint to exist and to be happy and to live a fulfilling life. To be who I am and to get into my mindset, to understand my inspiration, you have to get into my life story a little bit. And my life story is, well, first off, I heard this saying once that doctors give life and artists give a reason to live. And so I could become a doctor, or I could be an artist because, things like music, the visual arts, those things give people, you have to have that passion, have something in your heart, a reason to live, something to create. And that's a big part of who I am. When I was a child, I had cancer, and so I am a cancer survivor. And I think from a pretty young age, I kind of said, if I stay true to myself, I haven't always done that, but if I stay true to who I am, then that will benefit me in adulthood. Meaning I had ideas, things that I was interested in as a kid, things that I wanted to create. And I think, life is short, so why don't, I take some risks and live that dream of creating things that I enjoyed as a kid. But I think that's a big part of my artwork and what inspires me.
Take off your shoes tonight and let's dance barefoot in the grass and keep rocking till you feel alright and keep rocking till you feel alright. There's a place where the kids go. It's a paradise where the kids go. A symphony place where the kids go.
Visual art's an interesting thing because there's obviously non-representational work and representational. And almost all my stuff is representational. Some of it's abstracted, but it's for the most part representational. And with music, it's the same way. I love music that is both keeps true to the, a certain time signature and certain beat and a certain rhythm and a certain, chord progressions and stays in a key. But there's a lot of abstract music out there as well. I'll listen to a song and I'll get an emotion and I'll get certain colors that come into my mind and I'll want to paint those colors. Or I'll get certain visuals. And so I'll want to create those visuals. And it's a lot easier to obviously picture them in my head than just create them, because then when I go and actually have to create it, it takes hours to create. Whereas when I just picture it in my head for the first time, it takes, it's an immediate impact, or it's an immediate, visual in my imagination. And some of it too, I think, is an emotional thing, because someone will hear the same song as I do and they do not visualize the same colors, the same scenery, the same people, the same atmosphere as I do. But, you get inspiration from all over the place. Deep down, I have an emotional attitude towards my artwork more than I have just wanting to be a great technician, which that is important. But I think, where do I find that balance and where do I find my voice? I've done a lot of graphic design. That's what I got my degree in, is graphic design. And I've done a lot of work on the computer, but a lot of design, it's more practical work. How's the functionality of something, or how is the marketability or branding side of things. So, I would design a lot of brochures and pamphlets and manuals, and it was just really the layouts of things and using fairly generic fonts and typefaces. And it's not work that I love, but it's still, I guess, a visual representation when you create these things. And there are areas where you can be creative, but a lot of it's not as creative as I would like. And so that's why I would rather do the artwork that is enjoyable and not necessarily some of the stuff that I have done. I don't do a lot of landscapes. I'm wanting to do more landscapes. And that's actually where I'm wanting to take my artwork moving forward, is to do landscapes for multiple reasons. One, landscapes are, for the most part, non-threatening. I mean, most people can look at a landscape and universally say, hey, that doesn't bother me, that's not controversial. And that's one reason. Another reason is I wanted to go into art education and potentially teach art in a high school setting. Ultimately, landscapes are very important technique-wise, and it seems like something, if I can build up that portfolio, I could land certain jobs because people look at those, and if I can create a lot of that work, it's just something that I kind of want to push it into a new direction as an experiment with. Again, that's where I want to take my art moving forward, and I already have ideas of what I want to do.
I'm a dead man in the desert. I'll be a dead man tomorrow morning. Little girl.
This is a painting of mine right behind me. It's a bear, as you can tell. Well, actually, I don't know. It's an abstracted bear. It could be maybe a coyote or a fantasy creature, but it was inspired by essentially a grizzly. And I wanted to keep it. See, a lot of my work, it's also creating my own voice and building up my technique. And that's why I did this painting, and I did 11 others, so 12 total animal paintings in a similar style. They were all blue and black, and then a value scale in between, as you can see. And a lot of that was to build up my technique, to wake up every morning and just keep painting. But a lot of it was inspired too from, I wanted to use a lot of geometric shapes. I wanted to use things that I was really interested in as I'd look at a lot of Native American artwork, things like totem poles, and they would often use very geometric shapes. But even if you look at other cultures in the ancient world, Egyptian artwork, for example, they oftentimes will have very, they follow a set of rules, a certain style guide. And I wanted it to have somewhat of a feel of what was inspiring me. I was looking at a lot of ancient artwork, things that had very distinct geometric shapes. Why I created all of them is I also felt that if you create multiple, it's a whole concentration, so it becomes bigger than just one. Because a lot of the projects I start, it's just one project, and then it never, I never see it to the end. And so I just have a lot of things that I start, but if I really wanted to have something that was, as a whole, they all correlated together. And I actually did these paintings quite a while ago. It's now 2019. I did it back, I think, in 2013. A lot of them. And maybe it took me about a year. So between 2013 and 2014 is when I worked on these paintings. But, and so all of them are similar in the sense that they have a black background and then the animal is blue. But I've also taken those into the computer, and sometimes I'll change the colors because it's very easy to just take a scan or a photograph of the picture, and I can just change the hue, and they still look pretty cool. Okay, so this is an album I wrote. I did all of the guitar and all of the lyrics, the singing, the guitar playing. I also designed this entire album. There's things that I don't particularly love about it looking back at it now, because I actually designed this entire album before I had ever taken a design class. And so I did this entire font, which is not a particularly beautiful font. And then this is, artwork though I created. One design technique is, you take out the CD, and there's a little green oasis underneath the CD. So I designed that. It was one of the first things I ever designed and then actually printed, got a hard copy for. And it was actually stuff that I did before I really knew what good design was and what bad design was. Hey, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Yeah, I'm on all of those. It's Sam Winder. I think they're all a little bit different. Honestly, I don't know what they are exactly. Simply put, I'm on all of them. I'm on social media. Look me up on social media. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Sam Winder Art. Thanks.
Life just started. Reality hits, it's true.